Hey guys, Gemma, ASD rocks. I just realized I need to turn off the aircon because you guys will be just hearing this rush. Wow. What I've completely lost track of time. I have no idea how long it's been since I started moving. I was going to say what a week, but it feels like 3 weeks. I'm really not sure. So I have a bunch of information because obviously I have been so busy unpacking and trying to settle in, and also not only do I have to make sure like the common areas downstairs are free of boxes and whatnot, and the kitchen, but Bo just won't put one thing away on his own. So I feel really guilty every time I go past his room and there's still just boxes in there, boxes and boxes, and I just feel so guilty because I just can't split myself in two. Anyway, so I haven't been able to obviously be as available, but luckily enough, I think over this Christmas period, people are pretty busy with their own kids and what's going on. And especially at this time, you know, if you don't have that support network, that you don't have that larger sort of family of grandparents and whatnot that are there to, you know, help ease the pressure or take the time, or, you know, a partner that, you know, you can do that divide and conquer thing with, then carers get really tough times during these times. So there's 2 things that I want to speak to you about in regards to what you're going to possibly be up against either this coming school year or in the future. So the 2 subjects are, one is about starting a new school year with a child who has a diagnosis. So this is pretty important when I say with a child who has a diagnosis, because while the Department of Education are doing this massive overhaul for, you know, what's called the DIP, the Disability Inclusions Program, it's not as simple as they're professing to make it. So what I wanted to tell you is that usually the way that it works, if you are going to be looking at doing IEPs or SSGs, then that will be happening around the 3rd week of school. So don't go barging into school expecting an IEP or an SSG in the first 2 weeks. Really, if your school has been on it, preferably you should have had something set up for the beginning of next year. So, for example, at the end of this school year, I went in to see Finn. Bo is on a roll, like his just rolls over. But with Finn, we really needed to get something sorted out before the year started so that we weren't waiting until the 3rd week. And then you've got not just you, but all the other kids who are struggling as well, that all need IEPs or SSGs. So what I do want you to know, and what I will put up here, is if you have heard the term rubric, there's a rubric. So rubrics are the bane of our lives because Bo hates a rubric. He doesn't understand why you're giving all these different parameters. Why can't you just tell me what you want me to do? So we've had to, a rubric, if you're not familiar with it, and you're in Australia, get familiar with it. A rubric is like, just imagine any project. It's a cheat sheet. I don't understand. It's amazing. It's like, so any project, it'll say, if you do this, 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 and this, you will get like a C. If you do this, 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 and this, you will get a B. If you have in your project this, 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 I mean, it spells it out. Although I must admit, it did confuse me the first time I saw it. I was like, what is this? And Bo hates them because it gives him, you know, I had to get them to just cut off the top part of the rubric and just say, this is what you need to do for your work. So that way it was just one column telling him exactly what to do, not multiple columns saying, if you do this, if you do that, if you do the other. He needed clear and concise direction, and a rubric was just, he couldn't decipher the information of what he was supposed to do, so we cut that off. Why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because, believe it or not, there is a rubric for an SSG and an IEP. Yes, believe it or not, the government in their infinite wisdom, or the Department of Education in their infinite wisdom, have actually created a rubric, which I'm going to post up next, obviously, because it's a photo. I can't post it up during this video. So it's a rubric that will tell you if your teacher or your school or the special needs coordinator have provided this, this, and this, it is poor. This is the government, the Department of Education. I highly suggest, I'm going to put it up here, I highly suggest that if you've got an SSG or an IEP coming up, ever, that you walk in to that meeting with it and open it so that they can see that you are holding them accountable to exactly what the Department of Education says that they have to provide for it to be deemed a successful and practical, or successful and fill in the blanks, positive IEP or SSG. So yes, so start planning now. If you are going to a new school this year, this is a massive thing, guys. Transition. This is the time right now that you should be taking your kid to that school during the school holidays. You should be taking your kid to that school. You should be, hopefully it's not locked up. I mean, most schools are pretty easily accessible. I don't know what it's like wherever you are in whatever country you're in, but I mean, most of the time you can gain access to the schools and those sorts of things. You should be going and walking through, and you should be playing together on the play equipment, or, you know, just having a talk and saying, gee, you know, oh, well, let's find where the toilets are, or let's, oh, what office do you think that is, or what's class do you think that is? Let them get used to that environment. If you want your kid walking to school, if they're in that vicinity, if you want them walking independently to school, start that walking now, because it's going to take, with us, it took 6 to 12 months to get that independent walking happening, where I would walk him all the way there, walk him all the way back, then I would walk him all the way there, and then I would say, oh, I'll meet you like 100 meters up from the entrance, and then it would do it by another 100 meters, and then another 100 meters, until I'll meet you at the end of the street. And then you can see, so you pull yourself back, and you just sort of do that over a large period of time. So the earlier you start this sort of stuff, the higher success rate that you're going to have, or the sooner that they'll be able to do that. So get into the school as much as you can, either drive there or walk there, whatever it is that you will be doing, so they're getting used to the route when it's not busy, when there's not 1,000 kids cramming in there on the first day. hopefully you have arranged, depending on the level of autism of your child, depending on how, like, transition, everything is about transition. So depending on how intensely this is going to affect your child, I organized a private orientation. So Bo and I got a private little tour, and that was then when the actual orientation happened. He already knew everything, and so he didn't have to take in information and remember, this is where I have to be, this is where I have to go, this is where the lockers are, this is where this. We got that already one-on-one, and then when he was there with all the kids, all he had to do was cope and manage in that environment, because that information was already in there, and you didn't have to worry, oh gosh, is he going to remember where the lockers are? Is he going to remember which teacher or what office to go to if he needs help and if he's struggling? So this is it. This is the time to be doing all of that, emailing the school. Preferably you've already done that, but guys, I'm going to put up this rubric because I think it is super important for us to see what the standards that our government are expecting of our schools. I apologize wholeheartedly for the fact like this. I have no access to makeup at the moment. I'm lucky to have access to deodorant right now. Finn is out all day. I have got to fly back. I'm just sitting out the front of Bo, his of Pace Health Management, where he does his sports physiology and gets that, they're doing amazing things with him. So I really wanted to get this done while he was in there, but I just sort of caught a glimpse of myself. I went, oh my gosh. So yeah, all apologies. But I can't even find pajamas right now. So, all right. I'm going to post up the rubric, and then I will, if you've got questions about transitioning, how to make a transition easier, how to tackle this process, you can write them here, or as the entire world does, you can just message ASD Rocks. And yeah, let me know and I'll see what I can do to help you sort things out. But now is the time, guys. Don't wait until late Jan, early Feb. That's going to cause more anxiety and stress for both you and your kid. Get them, if it's a new uniform, get them dressed in that uniform. Gosh, guys, those of you who are getting school shoes for the first time, so if you are transitioning from primary school, where they usually wear runners, to secondary school, where they are requesting a proper school shoe, number one, go down to who do it. Oh, I can see them in my head. They're called an Advent school shoe. They're the softest black lace-up school shoe that is as close to a runner as you can get, and it's got some good ankle support. It's called the Advent something, and I'm trying to remember which shop sells them. I know they have them. I think it's a big step. I think it's Foot Locker. There's one at Southland. I know that for sure, because that's where we got ours. But guys, do not buy new school shoes and wait for the first day of school for them to break them in. Put those shoes on now. Every chance you get them, walking to school in their uniform so they can feel it and get used to it. The fabrics are going to be different. The smell, it's going to be new until they've worn it and you've washed it a couple of times. All of these things that you can do during the school holidays will all build up to make it much, much easier on that day where they are getting dressed into familiar clothes, wearing shoes that are not uncomfortable, going to a familiar environment, all before school has even started.